In 1921, Jean Barry was born in Hartford, South Dakota. At a young age, Jean moved to Myrtle, South Dakota, which was a town close to the Rosebud Sioux Indian Reservation. Jean remembers visiting the reservation with her family and watching the Native Americans in their traditional costumes perform dances. They would take family trips there as if it was a normal vacation. Hobos used to show up at her back door in South Dakota asking for help. Jean believes that her house was marked on a trail as a safe place that the hobos knew of. She would wake up some mornings to see a hobo sleeping on her couch. Her mother would feed them, give them a place to stay, and help them along their way. Most were heading out west to find jobs. Jean never felt threatened or unsafe by them. She just viewed it as a normal occurrence and loved to help out. On March 1st, 1932, Charles Lindbergh Jr. was kidnapped at his home. He was the 20-month-old son of a famous aviator and his wife. Jean was just 11 years old at that time. She said, "All the kids felt threatened. We never opened windows." It was a great shock to America, and Jean still remembers how scared she was as a child going through that event in history. Child safety became a more prevalent worry in the American family. During Jean's childhood and young teen years, her family was caught in the midst of the dust storms. She recalls seeing huge cracks in the ground by her farm since the earth was so dry. She said if you dropped something down the cracks, it was gone, forever. Huge grasshopper clouds would come swarming in and wipe out the whole garden. She remembers being outside and seeing just a massive cloud of dust coming towards the house. The dust was so thick that they couldn't tell what colors the cars were. Everything was coated. On Thanksgiving Day one year, it was completely dark all day due to the dust. She said it seemed like it was nighttime during the day. They weren't used to having to light candles in the house at that time. Dust coated the windows so they couldn't even see outside. Jean attended Taylor University. She had been in college about a year when Pearl Harbor was attacked. In the lobby of her dorm, all the students were gathered around the radio since they didn't have TVs yet, listening to the news. As a senior in college, Jean was vice president of her class, but she got promoted to president when the actual president went off to fight in the war. All the men were leaving campus to fight. She was engaged to a boy in the Navy at that time who also had to leave. Most boys couldn't finish their education when they went off to war. She remembers seeing boys one day and them disappearing the next, without no clue or trace. The campus became predominantly women. It was so strange for her to see such a rapid change in campus life. There was a tomato canning factory located close to campus that lost most of their workers to the war. They would come by the university with buses and pick up students to work in the factory for just the day and drop off the students at the campus at the end of the day. Jean volunteered one day to work a 12-hour day working the assembly line. For the whole day, she stood by the conveyor belt and picked out the rotten tomatoes. She said it wasn't fun work, but it was a good way for the students to make a little money and get a day off classes. Jean studied organ and choral work and was hired in Columbus after college to teach music at a private girls' school. On July 21st, 1969, Jean saw on the television Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. She says, "He was in his spacesuit, and I watched as he awkwardly walked down the steps and made a big jump." It was one of the first historic events that she ever saw on the TV, something that we take for granted today, and she was so excited about that. Today, Jean lives in Carmel and has a busier schedule as a 92-year-old than most high schoolers. She keeps a journal of all the major events in her life for her children and her grandchildren, which is how she helped me write this story.